All right, so in this video, I'm going to demonstrate a whole setup, how we can basically automatically set up a web form to send information to our Excel spreadsheet, and then use that information to automatically generate response emails. So first, we're going to need an Excel spreadsheet. So you're going to want to log into your Office account. So I'm under office.com, and I'm logged in under 365 account. So at this point, we want an Excel spreadsheet. If you already have one uploaded, you can use that. If you don't have one, you can create one. So if you have Excel here, you can start with that. If you don't see Excel available here in this list, then you can always go under Create on top here. And then it's going to give you different applications you can use to create different files, one of which is going to be a workbook for Excel. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to quickly name this spreadsheet. I'll go on top here. So at this point, I'm going to go under Insert menu, and you'll see Forms. So I'm going to create a new form that's going to be attached to this spreadsheet. So here we're going to build our form. I'm going to name the form. I'm going to add a new question to this form. So I'll add first and last names, I guess. So some of these are automatic suggestions, so you don't have to make the whole field yourself. I'm going to click Add Selected. And you can see how it did these two questions for us. Now, for both of these, I'm going to make them required. So I'll do first name required, last name required. I'm going to add another one. And for this one, I'm going to do text field 2. So these two were text fields just auto-generated for us. I'll just call this one email. And I'm going to make this one required too. Click Add New. Let's just add another one like choice. And this will be multi-choice sort of question. And we can add more options here, but this is fine. I'm going to make it required. And basically, this is just going to be an option to choose one of them. Finally, I'll add another field, text, call this one quantity. And again, required, and that's going to be it. So it doesn't matter what's going to be in this form. You can build as much as you want to build this. But one thing that will be important are settings of who can actually see this form. So for that, we're going to click on this three little dots and go to settings. And see, by default here, for me, it's only people in my organization can respond. Now, if I want anybody to be able to respond, I'm going to do anyone can respond. Now, you can also do specific people and just list who can actually respond to this form. This way, if you want to restrict it to certain people only, you can do that. For me, I want to do anyone can respond, like so. Another thing that could be useful here is to customize the message that shows up after they submit the form. So you can do customize thank you message. And you can see there are some other options here that you can set. Once you know where this is, I'm pretty sure you'll figure out what to do. So now that we got all of this, we can actually use this form. So if I go under share, it's going to give us the link to that particular form. I'm going to copy that, and I'll open that in a new tab. At this point, if I go back and look at that spreadsheet, you'll see that in the spreadsheet, this was automatically created, and this is an Excel table. So this table is going to have some sort of name. So if we go under table design on top here, see this is called table 1. It's probably best to rename this. So I'll just call this orders. So that's the name of this table. You can keep the original name, that's fine. And you can also see there's this worksheet name called form 1, which is where those responses are going to go. So maybe rename that too. It doesn't have to match the name of the table, but I'm going to match them anyways. So now at this point, what's going to happen if we send that link to anyone and they fill this form? they're going to get this message. And if I go and take a look at my spreadsheet, see, it may take a little bit, but you can see how this was populated here. Now you can see there's this email. Now this email is different from that other email field that I did, which is this email 2. So maybe I should have named this something else instead of email 2. But this is auto-generated email. So if you set this for your organization to submit this form, it would automatically have that person's logged in email here. But since I did for anyone, therefore I did this email field to get that information. Now, every time we submit that form, a new line is going to be created here in this table. So let's just do one more. So there's 2 of them. Sometimes it could take a little bit for those responses to populate. See, it was pretty fast here, but sometimes it could take a little bit. In these tables, because these are Excel tables, you could actually do some formulas here next to this table. And because it's a table, it will automatically recalculate the next line. But in this video, I'm not going to worry about that. So we'll just leave it at this. So now we have the table that auto-completes as we add new information to that form using this Microsoft form that's here. Later, if you want to get back to that form and modify it, etc., you can go under Insert, you'll see Forms, and you can basically edit that form. Or send the form would basically get you the link to that form again. So at this point, we want to make sure that every time that form is submitted, we want to automatically send some email. So maybe we want that email to go to this email that was entered in the actual form itself. So the way we're going to do that, we'll go back to our app launcher all the way on top left here. See this little menu icon, whatever you want to call this. And you can see there's going to be this Microsoft 365 apps. Now you want to find the one that's called Power Automate. Now, if it's not here, you can go under All Apps and you're going to scroll down until you find the right option. Power Automate can set up a lot of trigger-based rules. There is also a bunch of other stuff it can do. But for this particular case, if I go under Create, see we have these different things we can create. We can have a scheduled task that runs every day at a certain time, something like that. For this one, we want automated cloud flow, meaning we want something to happen as soon as that form is submitted. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. We're going to name this. This is just a name for this whole setup that we do here for this automatic emails. So I'll just call this order form auto emails. And here, we're going to look for a trigger. Basically, we want to find what is that particular trigger that should basically force something to happen. And in our case, it's going to be this one, this Microsoft Forms when a new response is submitted. So if you don't see it over here right away, just search here, Microsoft Forms, it should show up. And I'm going to check this one. I'm going to hit Create. So now it's going to ask us to select the form. So we want to select the form that we just created a second ago. So I'm going to close this, open this. See, this is that order form that I just did. So at this point, we want to send an email, but there is going to be a little problem here. If I just go directly and add a new step to send an email, and for this, I'm not going to use this mail because it doesn't seem to be supported at this point. So we'll just type email and find under this actions, send an email, V2. And the problem with this is that if I want to use any of those fields in my responses, like I want to generate like Dear Anna Smith, and I want this Anna to be replaced with whatever comes out of the form here as a first name on the last name. I couldn't do that because at this moment, you'll see it shows this no dynamic content available. And if I click in this to field and click on this add dynamic content, you'll see again, it doesn't give me any dynamic content. However, if I click on the subject line, see, I get this response ID. So we have the ID of the response from here, but other than that ID, we don't have any other information from that form. That's the reason why before we do this, I'm gonna delete that. We need to add another step to actually get those responses. So if I just search response, see, there's this thing that says get response details with Microsoft Forms. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on that. And with this, we can actually choose the form. And then as a response ID, we can choose that dynamic response ID. And with this, it's going to be able to go grab that information from that form, which means now if I add another step to send an email, which will be this send an email V2 Office 365 Outlook. Now at this point, if I click in this to and click add dynamic content, see, I start getting new fields. Now I got email and I got responders email. And by responders email, that would be that auto-generated email I had mentioned before. And this email will be the actual field email from here. I'm gonna use this, the actual field for this one, but it's gonna be for you to decide what you wanna use. For subject line, we can build the subject line using some of these response details, as you can see, but instead I'm just gonna say, thanks for your order. And here we're gonna build the actual body of this email. So if I want this to be, Dear Anna Smith, thanks for your order. Instead of this Anna, I want to use this first name. So let's get rid of that. We do want to make sure we have appropriate spaces. Like I need dear and then space and then first name. And then the same thing here. I'm going to have a space after first name and then do last name. So now we have first name, last name. We'll add a couple of other things here. So you can see how you can basically build this using those fields. So once we build our email the way we want it actually to be, we can now go ahead and save this. So as you can see, it says it's ready. We recommend you test it. So at this point, you probably want to just submit the form with some email you can actually check to verify that this whole thing actually works the way it should. So I'm going to go ahead and open the form and fill it with some information. And now I want to open that email and see if I have that response sent. And see here, we have this new email. And it says, thanks for your order. And if I click on this, it says, dear first and last name that I had entered. It gives us all this information. So we're able to build this email dynamically. And there you go. Now we have a form that sends information to our spreadsheet. And then we generate emails automatically and send them out. And that should do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video.